Hello students, it's Mr. Strom again. I'm making another video. This is a part 2 portion of 4.1G. I'm going to show you a few different things with procedure for the first drawing there. If you noticed that letter A says create a 3D sketch solid model of the object above using the most effective or efficient method within Inventor. Surface area is 50.625 inches squared. The volume is 16.531 inches cubed. What you can do here, if you've already drawn your part, so I'm going to open it up. We're going to go into Inventor here. I have the part that we've just made open. What I'm going to do is I'm going to see what these physical properties are to see if I'm relatively close to what they wanted or what they had. How you can do this is you can go up to the eye in the far left corner. You can go down to eye properties. Here on the left hand side, click eye properties. What you notice is there's a few different tabs up top here. General is open and it says what the part is that we have open. It says the size and so forth. If you go to the physical tab, which is the far right one, it just says material generic, density is 1 gram. This is where we want to be. If you scroll down, you can see the mass, area, volume, so on and so forth. And the reason nothing's in here is because we have to select a material and update. Well, we just want generic material. If you select update, it should give you what we have so far. So it says the mass is 0.597. What we want to do here is we're looking for the physical surface area and the volume. So if we go down to area, our area says 50.625. That is what the activity calls for, and the volume it says is approximately 16.531 inches cubed, and if you look down to our volume it says 16.531 inches cubed. So this is an easy way to figure out your area and your volume of anything that you make, but also if you're trying to duplicate something from an activity, it will show you that that is correct. We're going to go ahead and hit close. Now for the part number 2 on activity 4.1G model creation, it says it asks you to create a model, but if you notice it says all dimensions are in little mm, which stands for millimeters. So to do this, how you can change a current part that you've drawn, so number 1 needs to be in inches, but I'm just going to show you how you can tell if it's in inches or millimeters. You go up to your tools pull down menu or tab at the top. You go to document settings, and you can see document settings up here. We're going to click. Now if you go over to units, it says our units are in inch, which is generally what we're looking for, but for number 2, when you start drawing your part, you can click this drop down and you can click millimeters and hit apply and close, and everything's gonna have changed to millimeters. So to show you that this changed from inches to millimeters, from the top of our part to the bottom of our part, in inches is supposed to be 2.5 inches. So let's see what it comes out in millimeters. So if I click this top face and this bottom face here, it shows 63.5 millimeters. So we see that our length has changed to millimeters, and that's what you're gonna have to do for part 2 when you draw that new shape. But since part 1 is in inches, we're gonna go back to document settings, go to units, change millimeters to inches, hit apply and close, and we should be back to inches here. So we'll select top, bottom face. It says 2.5 inches. Very good. Fair enough. We're there. So we'll X out of that. The next thing you might have to do is you may need to, most of my dimensions on the board that you guys notice, so if I open up one of these sketches here, these dimensions are relatively small, and one way you can change that Good evening, class. It's Mr. Strom. I'm here to show you a little bit about what we're gonna be working with on Monday, which is creating working drawings in Inventor of the parts that you've just completed on 4.1G through the PLTW curriculum. So first off, you can see here that I'm going to show you how to create the drawing, how to open it. I'm going to show you how to change the page size, which is important because if we were to print these out, which I would like you to do at some point, when we print these out, we have to make sure it's on 8.5 by 11, which is normal paper size. We're going to create title block for this drawing, and it's going to be handy. I'll show you how to do it. Unfortunately, I haven't figured out a way to save it. When you open a new drawing, you can't recall the one that we make, but we'll try it and see what happens here. Next, we're going to import our part, and finally we're going to dimension the part in the multi-view drawing, and that'll wrap it up. This video is going to be a little longer than the last couple probably, just to make sure that you understand what we have to do. I'll try and go as slow as possible, and we should be able to figure it out here. So I'm going to pull up Inventor. Now, if you're starting on your new screen and you don't have anything open, you have your 4 options here: part, assembly, drawing, presentation. Go ahead and open your drawing, a new drawing. Okay, we have our drawing here. Now we notice it's way far away and it looks like a huge sheet of paper. First thing we need to do is to change our sheet size to letter A. I believe this is letter D, which is probably 11 by 17. So we're going to need to change this to 8.5 by 11. If you go over on your left side, it says sheet 1, and it's highlighted in red if you can find my cursor in the browser panel. We're going to right click sheet 1. You're going to hit edit sheet. Go ahead and click that. We notice it's size D, which actually it's 22 inches by 34. So we need to click this drop down, change it to A. We notice the height changes to 8.5 and the width is 11. Once you have that, go ahead and hit OK, and we'll see that it's a much smaller sheet to work with. Now if you look here where my cursor is in the bottom of this sheet, you see it says drawn and it says R Strom, because that's my user name. When you're logged on your computer, it'd be yours. So that's nice that it has that and it has a date there, but what we need to do is we need to input some other things. And the way to do this, this title block is way too large for this sheet now. You need to go back up to the left in your browser, and you need to right click ANSI large and click delete. So we're going to make one custom to our page that has all the information we need to. If you stay on the left in our browser and you click the little plus next to drawing resources, you get some more drop downs. You're going to go down to title blocks over here. You can see it's highlighted in red. You're going to just left click the plus again so it drops down some more. And now these are your title blocks. We're going to use just ANSI A, so right click ANSI A and hit edit. Now this looks like a lot of mumbo jumbo, and it is. It gives you the dimensions, for everything that we have here, each box and so forth. We don't need to worry about that. The 4 or 5 major things. This is step number 2 now, technically, creating your title block. We need to double click on author. It's going to pop up in this dialog box. Now if it's in gray, we can just hit delete. Should be able to hit delete or backspace, I guess. Sorry, backspace, and it'll delete it. So right here is we're going to put our name. And yes, I want your full name. So I'm going to put my full name. We're going to hit OK. So now you see drawn and it says Ryan Strom. Your creation date we won't have to change because it auto-populates. Let's double click company. Now normally if you work for John Deere or something, you'd put John Deere. We don't necessarily have to put MOC because we know we're at MOC. If you would like to, you can, but make sure it's highlighted gray. Backspace will delete it. So if you want to, you can put MOC-FE and then put what period or hour number you are. So if you're hour 3 or third hour, you can write third hour. If you're 6th hour, you can change the 3 to a 6. So that makes sense. Put whatever hour you are in. So I'll pretend I'm in 3rd hour. Go ahead and click OK. So now it says MOC-FE 3rd hour. Very good. Now, if you can find title, double click on title. You can hit backspace to delete that, and we're just going to put 4.1G. Okay, pretty easy there. Hit OK. So after we put 4.1G, we're going to go down to part number now. So that's kind of towards the bottom. On the right side, it's in red. I'm going to double click, hit backspace, and I'm going to put part number 1. So depending on which part this is for 4.1G, you have 4 of them. So if you have part 1, you'll have to change this to part 2 for the second one, part 3, and part 4, so on. So we're going to do part 1, hit OK. Next thing you need to do is scroll down here to the bottom where it says sheet, and it says sheet number of sheets. Double click that. Now we're just going to highlight the first gray box here and hit backspace. Now what this is saying is if this is our first part, we're going to put sheet 1 of, highlight the second one and backspace, sheet 1 of 4, because we're going to have 4 of these. There's 4 parts. So right now we're doing the first part. It's going to be sheet 1 of 4. Now if we were doing the second part, we would have put part 2 in the previous step, and you'd write here sheet 2 of 4. But once again, we're still on part 1, so it's part 1 of 4. Go ahead and hit OK. We should see it changes there. Now, one thing you should do here also is checked by, which is under your drawn name. Double click there, and you can either put, go ahead and backspace, put Mr. Strom if you want, and hit OK. So you need to change your name, checked by, the company, your title, and your part number and your sheet number. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things you need to change. Now we're finished with this, so we're going to right click on the white and we're going to hit Save Title Block. So we right click, we go down to Save Title Block. Don't hit Yes right away, you need to hit Save As. So we're going to hit Save As, and you can put in your name. So I'll just put Ryan, I'll hit Save. Now don't freak out, it's saved, it's over here on the left. If you look in your browser, see how it says Ryan? Now all we're going to do is right click your name and hit Insert, and it's going to pop up with everything that we previously typed in. Now unfortunately I haven't found a way to save this for more drawings. So you're going to have to do that each time you make a new drawing. You're going to have to change your sheet size, change your, or delete your title block. Then you're going to have to right click ANSI A, and you'll have to click Edit, and you'll have to type in your info. Then you'll right click, save this title block, save as, and then you need to right click your name or whatever you label it as and hit Insert, and it'll pop up on the bottom. So far so good. We're 3/4 the way finished. I'm going to stop this video for now and start another one. So look for part 2 of this video in order to place your view and also dimension it. I decided I'll just leave a little extra time here and we'll start our new process. So what you're going to do, now we're going to do the last 2 steps. And that is, we're going to import our part and dimension the drawing. So if you go up here to Base and click Base, what we're going to do is we need to select our file. Right now it says nothing because I have nothing open down here. If I had a drawing down here, it would say that document in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the little folder, and I'm going to find the drawing that I want. So I'm gonna choose something a little different from you guys. I made a dice. Oh, no, I have the part. Never mind. I'm gonna click the part, hit open. Okay, we see down here our scale is half. Now that's a good size for the paper and what we have going on. But if you notice, I haven't clicked anything, but if you move your cursor up from this base view, it gives you a box. So left click once, and you see it pops up with your top view. Let's left click once over on your diagonal to make your isometric. Left click once to make your right side view. Go ahead and go back over to this drop down and hit OK. Now what we can do, we don't want them all scrunched together, so you can pull your bottom one here and you can spread them out a little ways. So we're going to do that. Okay. Now what we can do is you can go to the top and hit your panel that says Annotate. and you can go down and hit dimension, go to your part and pick a side you want to dimension. So we don't need to dimension our isometric view, that's purely for aesthetics or a visual. What we're going to do is we're going to dimension this little protrusion, okay? So if I click this top line that's red and click the bottom line that's red and bring it over until we see numbers and click again, you can just hit OK. We see that it says this is 1.5. So that's one dimension that we have that we want. What I would do is I'd have them all off on one side if possible. So as with this one, you could click this and this face and bring up and click OK, and we know it's 4 inches. I'm not sure, we're going to delete these circles, I don't want those circles. Hit OK, and we'll make sure that says 4 inches. So if it says 4 inches up here, we don't have to go down here and do the same dimension. You only want to have one of each dimension if possible. And it's not ideal to do it where there's hidden lines. So like for this little cutout, what I would do is I'd drop down here and I would do something like this. Click this line and pull it down so we know that's 0.5. Hit OK. So we don't need to do it again over here because we know they're the same. And if we want the size of this section, you can put it together, put 3 inches, and hit OK. Because now we know 0.5 plus 3 plus another 0.5 would equal this 4. So you're just going to go around and you're going to dimension all these sides so that we know everything we've done. It's gonna get a little confusing on some things when you start losing space, so try and keep that in mind. Trying to think what else I'm missing here. Oh, if you want to, this one will get a little tricky, but if you want to do something like this, you can do this one on an opposite side just so that there's room. So you can go as few or as many dimensions as you want, just so that we know if we were trying to make this part again like you guys did off the activity, you want to make sure you have enough of the measurements that you'd be able to make this part. So it looks like I should be pretty well finished. I think we're good to go. So go ahead and go to the top and hit the I and hit save as, and you want to save this part where you're gonna be able to find it again. So I would label it 4.1G part 1 since this is part 1. Hit save. And hit OK. That's fine. So we have it saved. So now you can go on and do the next part that you have to. If you have any questions, let me know. Good luck.